tell our audience who you are and how you got here?
Thank you, Dr. Price. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. My name is Marcia, and I found out about you through the Prophet Dictionary, and I have been following you on Blog Talk Radio, your Blog Talk Radio days.
Amen. Great. Well, it's good to meet you in person. Now, here's what I want to know. What is on your heart today? What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about the cycles of my life. I have a cycle every 10 to 12 years that I have problems with my rent. I'll get jammed up with my rent payment. And so, due to your teaching on Soul Sundays and leadership teachings, I realized it's a cycle.
Mhm.
I look back and saw that it was like every 10 or 12 years. In the past, my dad, who's no longer with us, was the person who would bail me out when I had those problems, but now he's not here. And so I had to deal with it on my own for
Mhm.
the first time. And so now I want to resolve this issue.
Okay, so let's walk. Let's do a history walk. Okay, let's walk all the way back to the first time you remember this happening and how you ended up with your dad being your rescuer.
Oh, the
Like, were
first
you in college? Had you just gotten your first apartment?
um I had an apartment and I was married at the time, and the income wasn't enough to pay all of the bills. So I was pretty much the bread earner in the family at that
Hmm.
time. Um, so that's and it just seemed like things were getting crazy in my life at that point. There were things that were getting really crazy. So, I was spending money that I knew I shouldn't be spending on other things. You
Now,
know,
when you say other things, were you spending on necessities or were you spending on pleasantries?
I was spending on pleasantries.
Okay, so now you see what we're doing here. We've got this little patch of we've got life calamity. You've got chaos is running crazy in your life. Now, where was your spouse before I finish talking? Where was your spouse with that?
He was there, but not contributing as much as I would have liked him to, but he was there
So he wasn't contributing. Was he working?
off and on.
Okay. So we could talk in that part for a little bit because I would venture to say, and I'm guessing he wasn't all that productive or profitable before you married.
Exactly.
So then you have to look at why it was important to marry someone that you knew would take you down and not up.
Mm, wow.
Because that's a root. So that's a truth somewhere that you married someone who would take you down and not up. Now I would venture to say, as I'm looking down into your page, I would venture to say that there is a tight correlation between you wanting to get back at your dad,
Mm,
or either you wanted to, well, obviously get back at your dad because he sounds very responsible. He was there to rescue you. So we have to think about that. But we'll talk about that on our next visit. I want to stay on topic, and the topic is these 10-year cycles. But often you when you have moments like that, you actually re-script your soul.
wow.
You re-script yourself to say, when this happens, and I'm feeling this way, when it's something is generating this kind of emotional response from me, this is how I'm going to address it. Because the soul is a very interesting thing. It's always going to look to keep itself in stasis.
Mm,
And its job is to keep the body in stasis. So when we talk about now, when you had a lot of crazy in your mind, crazy meant reckless. So we have to break that bond that you have between crazy events and reckless results or alternatives.
okay.
So now we're moving on. So now think about it. Count 10 years away. This is we can all do
Mm,
this ourselves. Count 10 years into the future. Well, you can't count 10 years because for sure, if your life was in that kind of financial turmoil, it would take anywhere between 2 to 3 years minimal to get out of it. So now we're into that 7 year window when things are going well. You've cleaned up some things and all of that. What other chaotic thing brought you there? Because turbulence, instability, or destabilization is something that happens through events. And it's events that are appealing to you, events that are attractive to you,
Mm,
events that you find as a necessity. So we have to locate from that first time. We're moving 10 years up here. And then from this 10 years, we're going to wipe out, remember, we're going to wipe out the 3 years because you finally come to, let's just say we snap out of it and
okay.
you come to your senses and you realize, whoo, look what I've done. I've got to fix that. Well, we all know that doesn't turn around overnight.
Hmm.
So what you have to do is check what milestones mean to you. Because obviously something about having your life in order unnerves you, or either it makes you overconfident.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's the overconfident part.
Let's talk about that.
At times, I'm afraid of being overconfident because of the kind of person that I turn into when I'm feeling overconfident, and I don't like that person.
So let's describe her. We're going to call her Celeste.
Okay.
Let's describe Celeste.
Celeste is very arrogant. Celeste is judgmental. Celeste thinks that she has all the answers and doesn't need anyone.
Okay, so now how does that particular character or personality translate into monetary risks? How do you plug that in? We've got Celeste over here who is I'm it, I'm the great everything, I got it going on, and it ends up with you somehow or another. When she flares up, we are down to mishandling our funds. How do
Yes.
the two work? How does that correlate?
Oh, well,
What is the first thing she likes to do when she's feeling really good about herself?
spend money.
Spend money. Now, how does she decide that makes her feel like she's somebody, if you will?
Because Celeste sees money as power.
Okay.
So if you have money, if you have disposable income, which is not usually there.
So then you're taking it from someplace.
Exactly. That's where the
Okay.
misappropriation comes in at.
Okay.
Yes.
So when she spends money, what is the first thing Celeste wants to do? Does she
Uh,
want to buy clothes? Does she want to go on vacations? Does she want to treat herself to some sort of personal care? Buy a car? What does Celeste want to do that turns her fortunes?
it would be more of personal care, but also educational things such as books and
Hmm.
different things to educate. Um, Pedicures,
Hmm.
not clothes so much. When clothes are purchased, they're usually purchased so that they'll last a long time. So I don't
Hmm.
usually have to buy
So
clothes.
fashion is not her drawing card.
No,
Okay.
no,
Fashion, but feel good is when you
yes,
talk about spas and things like that. So fashion is not necessarily it. She doesn't need appearance to feel good. She needs to know that she has an intellectual grip or grasp or an intellectual advantage. So she's always beefing up that knowledge.
yes.
So what does she want to do with that knowledge?
She wants to help others. She wants to teach, but she also wants to learn more about herself.
So let's go back to you, Shannon. See, we've been able see how wasn't it easy for us to just talk about Celeste like she the third party here?
Yeah,
She
that
was
was
like,
easy.
wasn't that easy? You were able
Yes.
because you were able to observe her, and I did that so that you can distance yourself from the reality that you have to face, so
Mm,
that when you come back
mm,
around, you can accept it as the you truth.
wow.
See, because
Thank
there's a
you.
you truth to everything, and most times people can't do it because they know what they think. I know why I waste money. You really don't. Like I made you see things just in a few moments about who you are by taking you off the table and making you the advisor,
Mm.
the observer. Now, in that exercise that we just had, what new opinions, or first of all, what new discoveries did you find? And then what new opinions or revelations about yourself did you uncover in just that little exercise?
I realized that the issues are really handleable. Instead of spending a lump sum of money or instead of having to have the instant gratification, because those are good things that I want to spend the money on, but to not go for the instant gratification, to put it away, to save, or to do a side hustle or do something to make the extra money instead of going for immediately right away having to do this.
Well, and it looks like that when we were watching Celeste, the most important thing in the world is that she brought her feel good meter up to a certain point.
Mm,
And whenever
mm,
something drains that meter, meaning I'm not getting recognition,
mm,
meaning I've just been offended, or someone hasn't seen me for what I am, or I've been passed over for something that I think I'm due. So
mm.
she's stuck in her due, like her personhood, my life due. What am I due in this life? It seems like I need that. And so if you're not going to give it to me, I'll get it myself.
Mm.
So now we have to go back to, because we're talking cycles.
Okay.
When you started this out, you were due some things, some real things. I was due to be treated well as a woman. I was due to be respected and regarded as a wife. I was due to be covered. And so I married a guy that I know couldn't cover me. But I also was due something that separated me from my daughter's role and put me in another role.
Can you repeat that part again? The daughter's role? What do you mean
Yes,
by that?
when you marry someone, your dad, the fact that you started, now correct me if I'm wrong, the fact that you stated he always bailed you out tells me that he was always a rescuer.
Mm-hmm.
That means you were daddy's girl in some way. Or either he was very much concerned about making sure you knew he was the covering power in your life.
Yeah, because I didn't go to my dad at all, a lot for help like that. So like whenever I got to the point where everything was going to be lost, I had literally have to swallow my pride and call my dad. I mean, I knew
Hmm.
he would say yes, but just coming up, my father wasn't the person that we asked money from, because it's the look on his face that he would give you when you
Hmm.
asked him for funds. So I just learned at a young age. I began working at a young age. I didn't
Hmm. To
first
take
job
care of
was at
yourself.
14, yeah.
Hmm.
And so whenever I had to go to him for money, it was just like, oh my goodness. But I knew that he would do it. I knew that he would
But
have the
Marsha,
funds.
but you kept staging situations where he had to.
Oh,
That means that there's a debt in your soul somewhere that he owed you.
wow.
You kept
Wow.
staging a situation to go to something unpleasant to resolve something that is a crisis. You set it up.
Wow.
So that means that somewhere, you felt like your father owes you this because of I don't care if it missed your birthday, didn't buy you a gift, I don't care, didn't come to your graduation.
I got it. I
Okay,
know what it is
what
now.
is it?
He didn't send me to college. In high school, I was the top of the class, graduated the top 10% of my class, but I was just a very promiscuous teenager. And so he did not, feel me worthy of investing in sending me to college.
Hmm.
So I did not go to college. I had plans, I had the school picked out and everything, but we were over income to receive financial aid, which meant that he would have to put his money into that, and he didn't. But he did do that for I'm the oldest, his
Hmm.
oldest with my mom. So he did that for other siblings, but not for me.
Hmm.
And
So
so, yeah.
your soul,
Mm,
listen, your soul
wow.
created a chargeback system on him.
Wow.
He's got to pay. He's gonna. I wouldn't be in this position
Wow.
if you'd sent me to college.
Wow.
I would not behave this way if you had done it. So he was your constant chargeback. And 10 is the number of not only obviously handle work, but 10 in God's realm is the number of a legal or judicial system.
My God, Jesus.
So he's in a chargeback mode. So every 10 years, this is it. And you would make it as hard on him as possible. Why? Let me tell you why. The soul has a logic of its own. Every soul has a logic system. And the logic system of your soul is that I shouldn't have to struggle. This shouldn't be because you got him in a he's his judgment, blame. He's your
Hmm.
blame target right now. So what I would do is I'll do the best I can. I'll get myself out. I'll do the best I can with what I have. I should have more. I should have a degree. I should have a degree that will get me a better job, better income. And if he hadn't stood in my way
Mm.
and held up what I thought his duty to my destiny was,
Wow.
I wouldn't keep facing this.
Wow. That's
So here
excellent.
we are. We're coming
Wow.
down the road. And so every year that judicial thing comes up. I don't it could be a matter of you reaching for something that's beyond your scope, and so you're angry, or so I'm going to satisfy myself. My consolations, every soul has a logic system and a logic appropriation system for its consolations.
So would you say, Dr. Price, that because now my dad's gone and I had the situation happen again, but I'm in a similar situation, whereas I'm going to school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Price University
Mm-hmm.
and I'm paying for it myself.
Yes.
So would that explain why I had another 10-year cycle with the finances going crazy? Because even though my dad is gone and can't help me,
Mm-hmm.
bail me out, I still have that logic system going in that I shouldn't be in a situation where I'm not able to pay,
Mm-hmm.
or that I have to, I wouldn't have to be going to school now if I had went to school when I was,
You're still angry, and so
Oh,
here's the part: you're
wow.
still resentful. But here's the biggest deal that I
Wow.
want you to know: your soul is trainable. You trained your soul to address education and educational difficulties or setbacks in this manner.
Mm,
So you have to go and look at your receipts. You'll go and look at the dates of your receipts. You'll begin to see all of the spending that you've done that should have been given toward this educational thing. So you're doing what dad didn't do, but you still got the ghost of dad that's motivating your behavior because it's habitual. So you have to retrain your soul. In my book that's coming out, Soul of Success, I have a section on retrain your soul.
awesome.
You have to retrain your soul. Well, hey, we're running out of time. It was great. Was this useful to you?
Very useful. Thank you so much, Dr. Price.
You're very welcome. We're going to talk again because I want to know about how you marry somebody that you know is going to set you back and set you up to fail. And I don't want it for you. I want it for all of our viewers who don't understand why just because you feel strongly and emotionally pulled to a person, that you don't have to step back and say, is this emotional pulling, this emotional drawing, is this something that's going to last a lifetime, or is this something that I'm feeling in the moment? And if I am, what else is factoring into that? Hey, see you next time, next Friday. Don't forget, take care of your soul and you maintain control. God bless.